We've been getting a lot of video game adaptations lately, like The Last of Us, Super Mario Bros., the Sonic series, the Halo show. We're even getting a new Borderlands movie coming out soon. And honestly, most of them have been really good. And this week, we got the release of Fallout on Amazon Prime. And I got to watch the whole show throughout the weekend. I'm here to give you guys my review on that. While listening to my review, make sure to go down into the comments down below and tell me what you thought of the Fallout show. Subscribe if you're new here, because we got a bunch more reviews of games, movies, and shows coming to the channel. And give this video a thumbs up while you're at it, because for some reason it helps the YouTube algorithm. Now, does the Fallout show live up to the hype? Let's get into it. So real quickly, before we get into the review of the show, I do want to give you guys my background and experience with the games. Since it is an adaptation, I think it's important for you guys to know how I came into the show. And my experience with the game is pretty simple. I've played all of them, but I've never finished any of them. I put in less than 10 hours in each of the Fallout games because I always do the exact same thing. I always do the tutorial inside the vault, and once they open those doors and I can go out into the world, I run around and I don't do any of the main quests. So I actually don't know any of the story of any of the Fallout games. I just know the world and the enemies that you expect because that's all I've done in the games before. The reason I'm telling you guys all of this is because I want you to be aware that even though I don't have much expectation or lore from the games, I still love this Fallout show. I thought every single character was so interesting and fun to follow their story. I thought the cast for each of them were really great. I thought Lucy, the Ghoul, and Maximus were all fantastic main characters to follow. Loved every single one of their stories and all that. And even all the side characters that you meet along the way were all super fascinating and fun to follow and had such great character moments and also so many great stories to follow along. I also thought the show was really funny with a bunch of laugh out loud moments that really got me that I'm not going to forget in a way that it just works within the world of Fallout, that it wouldn't be funny in like real life, but within the show, because of the context of what they're living through, it makes it absolutely hilarious, the reaction to certain things. And my favorite thing about the whole show for sure is the world itself. They did a fantastic job of showing you guys the post-apocalypse that they're all living in. There's so many great visuals and so many great shots where they pan out and show you where they're at, and it just looks incredible. I really like what the show looked like. I almost said the game. What the show looks like, it was beautiful. I also really like all the costumes. I know that the Vault Dwellers, what they wear, it looked spot on in my opinion. Lucy's gear and everyone that we meet from the Vault 33 at the start of the show, almost called it a game again, looks exactly like the game. And everyone else that you meet along the way, you're like the Brotherhood of Steel, all their armor, it looks exactly the way it should, and I absolutely loved it. And of course, you can't have Fallout games and shows without the classic music, and I am so happy to say that they stuck to it in this, and it was perfect. I really like the choices of the songs and where they placed it in the show. It really adds to it. I've been singing some of the songs ever since I watched it because I like that kind of music, but I could totally understand someone who has no experience with the game not really understanding why certain songs were picked because it's like the old school classic song. It really changes the genre of the show in a drastic way. Some scenes are absolutely brutal, and if you had this more sad or epic music, it would change it, but because they played the classic song, it kind of made it a little bit less serious. And I get it within the world of Fallout, but I can totally understand that people who don't know about the games would probably feel like it's a bit weird. Not for me, it worked because I'm aware of that. So this is probably one of the ones where if you're not a fan of the games, you might not understand the choices of music, but for me, it really worked. I'm also really happy to see that they did not shy away from the adult version of this. It feels like an 18+ show where lots of gore and lots of gross out moments and lots of like obviously adult themes to it, but you kind of have to with the world that you live in. With a lot of stuff you're going to be questioning, like, why is this happening? But in a post-apocalypse, in the world of Fallout, it makes a lot of sense. But of course, it's going to be a little weird for a lot of people and very jarring because I don't remember the last time I've seen a show that just went all out with this kind of stuff, especially a video game adaptation show. And the last thing I really want to get into, which I thought was the part that got me the most invested in the show, is the pacing. This show has 8 episodes of each about an hour long, and they are so fast-paced in the best way possible. I didn't feel like any of the stories were taking too long to get resolved or any of the moments. Everything felt perfect. And my favorite thing is that every single episode started and ended in a very different spot. Every single character moves along to the story in a very good way. Every single character starts and ends every single episode in different situations, and I thought that that was such a good way to keep me invested. There was never a moment where I was like, oh, nothing really happened this episode, or nothing really happened to this character in this episode. Everyone had moments throughout, and the mysteries throughout were so interesting. I could not wait for the next episode to see what are they going to solve, or what's the next question, and what are all the character motives and everything. And I love that about the show. They also did a great job to make sure that every single character's motivations were like there was good reasons for every reason or every decision they make. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words here because I've loved it so much. You really understand where every single character comes from. And I wouldn't say there's any villains or heroes in this show. They all just very complex characters in a way that you're gonna fall in love and understand certain characters and despise and hate other characters for their decisions. But when you sit down and listen to the reason, it all makes sense in this world that is obviously the end of the world in this sense, and they're all trying to survive, and they all have different reasons and ways on what they think is best for their survival. Fantastic. Such a great way of setting this up. And the last thing I want to talk about is the ending, which I personally really liked, but I can totally understand if some people are not going to be the biggest fans of the ending. I don't want to get into spoilers, so I'm not going to go into more details, but I did like the ending. I'm just curious if anyone else maybe hated it, and I could totally understand why. I don't want anyone to spoil it, but if you guys want to talk about your opinions on the ending, you can tell me in the comments. Just don't say anything specifically spoiler, or I'll just delete the message, obviously. So basically, who is this show for? I honestly think this show is for everyone. This is a show that I recommend for people who have absolutely loved and played all the Fallout games, for people who have little lore but understand the world like myself, and I would even recommend this for people who have never played this game. I do not think you need to have the video game lore or love for the games to like this show. They are very separate, and I think that you can still enjoy the show. My wife, who has never heard of the Fallout games before, sat and watched the show with me, and she really liked it too. It's just a great show. I cannot wait. I really hope there is a season 2 and even more seasons, because if they do it kind of like the games, each season can be set within a different place in America and follow a different set of group of people in the world of Fallout. Or they can continue with the story with these characters if they want to, and I'd be happy with either way. Such a great show. If I had to say some negative, I don't want to. I don't want to say any negative, because I thought this show was just fantastic and so good. All I want is more of this show, and I'm so happy that I get to say this about a video game adaptation, and that this show continues to deliver on the video game adaptation like The Last of Us and everything else. And that's basically my review. I know I've been gushing all over it, but I really like the show. I cannot wait for more. I'd love to hear what you guys thought, so comment down below. What other video game do you want an adaptation for? Make sure to tell me down below as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you give this show a shot. Have a good rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.